Welcome back to the Actery Magic channel. I'm Steve, the Actery. Today we're talking about Millicent, Restless Revenant. He is a 7-drop, 4/4 flying. But before we get into that, I want to let you know that this is all talking about Spirit's Squadron, a new precon out of Crimson Vow. All of the cards you're going to see today are not included in that pre-constructed deck. So let's get into it. So these are the cards that I think go really, really well with this precon. And you can take it or leave it. Obviously, this is all opinion. But honorable mentions, we have Wingspan Mentor. This is a 1 blue, 2 generic, 1/3 human wizard. And I really like these budget includes. He says when he enters battlefield, put a flying counter on target non-human creature you control. There's some spirits in here that don't have flying already. So if you happen to play Wingspan Mentor later in the game, you can give them flying. Also, for a blue and 2 generic, it says tap. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control with flying. So good. If he gets to tap twice, you've gotten so much value out of this guy. And since he's only an uncommon and a recent uncommon at that, he's super inexpensive for most people to get their hands on. Intangible Virtue, I think, is a strict upgrade, though. It's a 1 white, 1 generic enchantment. Creature tokens you control get +1/1 and have vigilance. This is so powerful to be able to go swing and be able to block those creatures. I will say, though, Wingspan Mentor will give 1/1 counters to your non-token creatures as well. Okay, number 6 on our list is not a spirit. This is Geist Honored Monk. It's a 5-drop, double white, 3 generic human monk. It says whenever she's got Star and Vigilance, power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. Sweet. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. So this is going to help us populate the board on turn 5, and that's going to make it a lot easier to be able to play our commander later. Number 5 on our list, another non-spirit. This is Archangel of Ties. This is a 4-drop, 3 white and 1 generic, 3/5 flying angel. As long as Archangel of Ties is untapped, creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1. For each of those creatures. As long as Archangel of Ties is attacking, creatures can't block unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. If we go back to Millicent, it says whenever he or another non-token spirit you control dies or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 flying spirit. Okay, which is interesting because now we have ways of getting, even if they did have flying, now we have ways of connecting even better. So Archangel of Ties either will protect us or it'll help us connect with those points of damage. I really like Archangel of Ties. I think it's an unsung hero in a lot of builds. Number 4 on our list, drum roll please, Sun Titan. Okay, I don't feel like this should be a surprise to you, but this guy is disgusting in this deck. In the precon, let's talk about him. He's a 6-drop, 6/6, double white, 4 generic, vigilance giant. Whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this can target fetch lands, artifacts, enchantments, and creatures. So, well, not necessarily just fetch lands, but any land that's in your graveyard, you can return to the battlefield with Sun Titan. So let's talk about what's included already in the deck that he can target. He has got 19 creatures that he can target, 8 artifacts, 6 enchantments, 1 land, and I'm sorry I forgot to include it, but there's also a copy of Dovin in this deck, so 1 planeswalker as well, bringing our total actually to 35 targets if you're keeping track of home. So I feel like Sun Titan is such a good value card in this build. There's no reason not to play him. Anyway, number 3 on our list, this is Gift of Immortality. So it's a 1 white, 2 generic enchantment aura. I didn't see this on EDH Rec, but I think it really plays well with our commander himself, because then we can enchant him, and then whenever he goes attacking, he'll die and then come back with Gift of Immortality. It says when enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Return Gift of Immortality to the battlefield, attach that creature at the beginning of the next end step. So our creature is going to go attack. It dies in combat. Gift of Immortality immediately brings that creature back into play. Then at the end of turn, it's going to re-enchant onto our creature. They have a small window to kill that creature second time where Gift of Immortality won't come back from the graveyard. But if they don't get a chance to kill it, yay! All right, number 2 on our list, we have all of our big, beefy kill conditions. So we've got a big board state. We got a bunch of 1/1s. Well, let's go ahead and finish the game with a bunch of damage, shall we? Obelisk of Erd, I think, is really, really great budget consideration because it's a 6-drop with Convoke. So the artifact costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control that you tap to cast it. It's almost like tapping that creature for mana. But as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, and then creatures of the chosen type get +2/+2. So we're going to take advantage of the fact that we're producing a bunch of little 1/1 spirits, tap all those little baby spirits, and then put Obelisk of Erd in play as early as turn 3. Really, really cool card. I love it a lot. Door of Destinies, I believe, is a strict upgrade, but it says whenever it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/1 for each charge counter of Door of Destinies. So this is a cast trigger to get those counters. It's not a enters the battlefield trigger. So it's very, very powerful, but you're encouraged to play a lot of spirits after Door of Destinies has resolved. But if you go through a board wipe, now if you play like you got 5 counters on that thing, if you play a 1/1 flying spirit, now it's just a 6/6. It's just really, really good. So Door Destinies has my vote because it's got such a resiliency to board wipe. Coat of Arms, on the other hand, is just the powerhouse of powerhouses here. It's a 5-drop artifact. Each creature gets +1/1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least one creature type with it. Be careful though with this, because this will backfire if you're playing against a goblin deck or an elf deck. They're going to have just as many creatures as you do, and their creatures are going to be just as big. And also, it does check other spirits or other humans or other whatever on the battlefield. So my spirits are going to make their spirits bigger too. So just keep that in mind. But I really love Coat of Arms. And drum roll, please. We got surprise, we have 2 in the number 1 slot today. Okay, so this is the budget consideration, but I would still play both if I had a copy of each. Mystic Reflection is a 1 blue, 1 generic instant. It says choose target non-legendary creature. The next time one or more creatures or planeswalkers you enters the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. Awesome. You can also foretell it, which means you put it face down in exile for 2 generic, and then you cast it at instant speed for 1 blue. So I don't think that you gain a whole lot for foretelling it unless your opponent is playing some kind of discard mechanic, because it's not in your hand whenever it's foretold. They have a lot harder time making you, they can't make you discard it. All they can really do to interact with it at that point is counter it. But Mystic Reflection can also be used offensively or defensively. So you got a big creature that's entering the battlefield on your opponent's side. You can target one of your little 1/1 spirit tokens, and now their Blightsteel Colossus enters as a copy of your 1/1 spirit token instead of that 11/11 infect indestructible nastiness. Mystic Reflection is really, really powerful because then we can also turn, say we're casting Geist Honor Monk from earlier. Now, whenever Geist Honor Monk is entering the battlefield, what you can do is she enters the battlefield, her ability goes onto the stack, where she's going to put 2 1/1s into play. What you can do is when she's on the stack, that ability gets put onto the stack, hold priority, and then cast Mystic Reflection targeting Geist Honored Monk. Now, with that ability resolving, Geist Honored Monk, those 2 1/1s are going to enter as copies of Geist Honored Monk, putting out more 1/1 flying. So you're going to get 2 copies of Geist, or 3 copies total of Geist Honored Monk. Then you're going to get another 4 1/1 flying spirit tokens as well. I really love this card. It's such a cool card to like play around and like do some gnarly things with. All right, but number 1 on our list, and I gotta say, this has been number 1 on my list before for other decks. This card's good. You should probably get a copy at some point, but it's expensive. And that is Anointed Procession. All right, it's a 1 white, 3 generic enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. Heck yes. So Anointed Procession is really, really powerful. It's like not quite the doubling season it is pretty much doubling season in white. So it's pretty really good. I really love it. But let's talk about some janky combos, shall we? I really like Gift of Immortality, as you can tell. But let's talk about some of the jankiness you can do with Gift of Immortality. Oh, I don't know. Let's go swinging, shall we? Geist of St. Traft is going to allow us to attack willy-nilly every time we want to, we can just swing in with Geist of St. Trap. They block our 2/2 on the hexproof on the ground, but our 4/4 connects, and then Gift of Immortality is going to bring it back to play. Great. Karmic Guide. If we just have like a plethora of mana, or say we don't, Karmic Guide. And whenever she enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's also got an echo cost, so you can choose not to pay the echo cost and have Karmic Guide go to the graveyard. Well, if Gift of Immortality is somehow enchanted on Karmic Guide, whenever your echo cost trigger happens, you sacrifice Karmic Guide to its echo cost, and then Gift of Immortality triggers, bringing her back into play, which returns another creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then it goes around the table one more time, and at the beginning of your turn, if this came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, since it died at your last upkeep, it's coming back into play after your upkeep has begun. And so now every turn, Karmic Guide is going to go away and come back with Gift of Immortality and reanimate something from the graveyard. It's so stupid. Also with Millicent, it just makes Millicent, Gift of Immortality makes Millicent just really, really useful. Just, I mean, you can attack with him a lot more frequently, get a little bit more brazen with him, and, you know, he's just going to keep coming back. But also, some more jankiness. Kami of False Hope. It's a 1-drop, 1/1 spirit. Sacrifice Kami of False Hope. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. With Gift of Immortality, you can sacrifice Kami of False Hope on every opponent's turn. Gift of Immortality is going to return Kami of the False Hope to the battlefield immediately, and then re-enchant Kami of the False Hope. So you can fog everyone on their turn. And it's a soft lock because combat damage can be the way your playgroup wins. But Remorseful Cleric is another great one. It's a 1 white, 1 generic, 2/1 flying. So sacrifice Remorseful Cleric, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. It's really, really good. If you really have to keep somebody's graveyard just constantly exiled, now you've got a 2/1 flying that you can also sacrifice in exile graveyards. Just go around the tables, like exiling everybody's graveyard. It's really, really cool. But the one I think that's the real powerhouse here is Selfless Spirit with Gift of Immortality. It's a 1 white, 1 generic, 2 mana spirit. Cleric, it says, sacrifice Selfless Spirit. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So being able to enchant it with Gift of Immortality is just so good. So now you can sack it on every opponent's turn. Board wipe isn't going to get rid of it. They're going to have to deal with Selfless Spirit on her own. It's really, really hard. They're going to need enchantment removal or double removal to get rid of Selfless Spirit. It's going to be really difficult. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We are tomorrow going to finish out our 30-day challenge for our 30 commanders. And thank you so much for supporting me in this. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Push the button.